James Barnes Business. Hey, I like predictions. I hope you like predictions too. First off, let me say we got 71 days until February 17th. That's the early voting starts for the primary, and then we have 85 days. This is right around the corner until March 3rd, Republican Party primary, and of course all the primaries. But I'm going to be talking today about my predictions for the Republican primary. Who's going to vote? And I'm going to do this in two parts. So part one, I'm just going to stay at high level. I don't want to get too deep, but let me just say this real quick. Who's voting in the 2026 Republican primary here in Bexar County, March 3rd, 2026? This is coming around the corner. So here's my predictions. Let me start off by saying we will see about 75,000 ID'd Republicans vote. We'll see about 22,000 non-ID'd voters vote. In other words, we're not sure if they're Republican or Democrat from a primary perspective. We can figure it out from other perspectives, but you're just keeping it simple. And then, of course, then the Democrat primary voters. So we know that in the Republican primary, we'll see roughly 5,000. So those are my predictions. All pulled together gives us about 103,000 votes. That's a little less than last cycle, but a little more than previous cycles. And I think, like I said, I'm not going to get into those details because those are granular stuff. But that's my prediction right here. Roughly in that area. I mean, I think it'll be. I don't think it'll be. And this is going off. Here's your numbers here. Here's your solid numbers. 12% of the voters in Bexar County have a Republican ID. You have 190,000, about 15% have a Democrat ID, and practically 900,000, I'm just gonna be 20,000, 920,000 plus, 73% of the voters have no primary history. So, who are they, right? But that's who your voters are. But let me, like I said, let me flop back up like I just said. So I said of that, 75,000 will be Republican ID turnout. You're gonna have no ID 22 roughly, and 5,000 from the Democrat IDs. So that's my prediction. I like, if you like predictions, that's what I'm putting out there. And let me just say, here's a little further breakdown of the Republican ID. I believe most of them will obviously come from the super voters. And then of course I have high value voters, and these are Barnes Business modeling. Of course, this is everybody in Bexar County. If you look at this right here, that has voted in one of the last 4 Republican primaries. They have to be here. If they haven't voted if they voted in 20, let me see, what that put us to 2024, 22, 20 and 18. So like when you look at this model here up here, these numbers like the opportunity voters, somebody might not have voted since last 4 cycles, but they have voted Republican primary. There's a reason why they haven't, but they do have a higher propensity to vote than the other models. So I'll tell you that. And super voters, those guys, as you can see, they're going to make up about 45% of the total vote overall. Add on the other pieces that have Republican ID. So everybody with the Republican ID will come out to about 73%. I think I said approximately 73%. It says right here. So super easy. We know where they come from. We know who they are. It's not everybody. It's not the 1.2 million. It's a lot less people. It's 150,000. Will make up about 73% of your vote. And then of course right here, as you see, no primary voters. They're going to make up about 21% of the total vote coming into this. And there's ways to target them. There's ways to go after them. They will definitely have way lower propensity. So, I have a theory, or not theory, my philosophy, it comes dollars, is ROI. It's always great to talk to people, but you spend your money talking where it could do the most business for you. And then, it's just dollars and cents. You only have so many. And if you're spending it where it's not going to be spent wisely, you're going to lose a lot of money that way. I have tons of examples I could lay out before you. I won't waste you with it today, but I've seen people throw $20,000 away just because they thought something different than was true. And I told them, don't do it. They did it. But you know, and then afterwards it's a good study for me. I said, hey, I got the model now. Don't do that. I already knew it. But, you know, I just use that example. These campaigns are extremely expensive. And they're, I mean, they're hard. It's hard to raise money. So if you're going to spend money, spend it wisely. That's all I'm saying. Don't spend it where you think it's going to work. Spend it where you know it's going to work. And that's my point. We know, for instance, like, and also like look up here. So we know that Democrats are going to vote in the Republican primary. It's just because that's just the way it is in Texas. You always get some crossover voters, what they call them, and you got the Republicans that cross over the other way. But that being said, so here's what we could expect historically speaking. What I break them down into is your hard voters, your moderate voters, and of course your soft voters. You'll get about 1% of each category. In the last category, your soft voters, and you'll probably find a lot of your Republican crossover people who have once been Republican are now ID'd as Democrats over in this area, and so maybe there's a way to get them back over this way. You know, once again, spend your money wisely because these guys are voting at a very low propensity into the party. So I know it's about dollars and cents. So I'm not telling people what to do here. I'm just saying think of a wise strategy. If you look at everything, look at your budget, you'll be able to figure out where you can spend your money. It's really simple, where you get the most effect. And so that's kind of what Barnes Business does. You can spend money, but why spend somewhere that there is zero effect? And so, you know, I want to leave you with that. I'm going to come in. I could do this much deeper, but these are the numbers. I'm going to come back. This is my prediction right here. That's what I think is going to happen. I can get deeper into these, and that'll be my next part. We'll do that. Enjoy the numbers.